Hello, happy Sunday, as I'm coming in here on Sunday evening to tune in to our March altar space for the final time, because believe it or not, we are entering into the final full week of March, the end of the first quarter of 2025. So I don't know how we get here. It just seems like yesterday we were tapping into, from 2024, what was coming in for this new calendar year. And now together we have rung in the new calendar year, the lunar new year, the astrological new year, as we just have come through last week, entering into equinox and Aries season now here, heating things up. And we're gearing up for solar eclipse at the end of this week, as we are in this eclipse portal, this corridor that I have to remind myself, and a little reminder to you, should you need one too, if you are feeling extra tired, in need of rest, of breaks, perhaps, just sort of lagging in a way, while also feeling that push-pull of maybe this impulse that you ought to be doing something or wanting to get things going, but also feeling that pullback, relationships, things coming up from the past, old stuff, churning around. Just a little reminder that we are in an eclipse portal. We're in between from the lunar eclipse, which was very powerful, the blood moon eclipse that we moved through at the beginning of this month, to now here finishing out the month with a solar eclipse, the new moon in Aries, happening on the 29th. So we have a bunch of things to cover in our astrological weather this week. You can see we have a few decks we're going to be pulling from. Full disclosure, I'm over here experiencing that corridor myself and needing to remind myself that when I'm feeling my energy levels dipping or ebbing and flowing, that, it's all happening and we're flowing in it with, whatever sense of surrender that we can muster to say, hey, we're tuning into the energies as they are here and now, and we have an opportunity to align ourselves with that so that we can maximize the potential that's coming up back to back with all of these different aspects and things that are coming forward for our own learning, growing, healing, and expansion as a soul here at a very dynamic time. And, it's just getting started here, as we're going to cover in some of the weather of things that are coming down the pike. We're going to reflect back on some energies that came through yesterday, Saturday, as I'm recording this, with the Venus star point that I talked about last week, but I'm going to touch on that again because we still have an opportunity here to work with those beautiful energies, all while Venus is retrograde, Mercury is retrograde, and again, lots being churned up and stirred up here with these different aspects. Now, this week, there's a ton of ways that we can connect, of course. We're going to be dipping in for the final time here, our Tarot of the Curious Creatures for our week ahead spread. That's going to be for our collective energy this week. But we're also going to consult the Queen of the Moon and the Queen of the Sun for this solar eclipse this week. So that's going to give us the energies that I'll be talking about in the new moon empowerment reading that's available this week. If you're already with me for the March empowerment pack, of course, this is our next in the series from this month. If you would like to join us, it is available a la carte, and eclipses are especially potent for joining on the lunations. We will get into the astrological weather. I'll be tapping in intuitively to some themes that are coming through. And then, of course, we'll have a ritual, a spread that I will choose. These two cards that come up tonight, we'll be diving deeply into those. And then, of course, the other chosen decks and elements that I'll be bringing through. And then on the other side is a personal card pull for you on working with these energies. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about this eclipse here in a few minutes. So we got those three decks going on here, and then we're going to tap into the fifth agreement for a little punctuation mark there. So if you want to join for the new moon empowerment reading, that is available this week. Also, the very popular equinox reading. Thank you to everyone who has booked already for either the spring equinox, or if you like the autumn equinox for the Southern Hemisphere. I have the beautiful altar space just behind me here, and I tapped in the eclipse. I keep equinox, eclipse. Ease getting mixed. In the equinox energies, I did pull out our I love this deck that we're working with. I'll just give you a little sneaky peek here because it's so beautiful. Decks, I should say, volumes of decks, which are coming from the Witch's Grimoire Oracle Collector set, which is so fun. So we use this to tap into the equinox energies for herbology and garden magic, gemstone and crystal magic, and the fauna and familiar magic. So I've pulled those elements, got those going, along with another message from the Seasons of the Witch Ostera Oracle for an overarching energy. And then, of course, your personal 6-card spread that's going to tap into these energies for spring equinox or the autumn equinox spread that I have, which is really fun. And I'm really looking forward to diving into the first wave of those readings this coming week. So if you want to join and sign up for yours, these are going to be available for until April 20th. I'll have those available, but there is a really cool opportunity to save 20% on that reading when you join me for the April Empowerment Pack, which will be kicking off next week. Believe it or not, I can't believe it. So like I said, next weekend, a week from tonight, I will be turning over this altar space and preparing it for April. I already have some decks in mind for sure that we're going to be using, which I'll be showing you all next week as well. So for that empowerment pack, for anyone that wants to join for April, you would receive 20% off the equinox spread, which is great personal guidance just for you. It's a personal reading, again, with a 6-card spread and oracle messages through this season ahead. It looks back on the prior season, looks ahead, and we use this beautiful garden energy to see about the perennials, the annuals, the fertilizer, and the ways in which we can tend and cultivate, plot, and plan for what you are growing in the coming season. So looking forward to all of those. Let me know if you're interested. Check the link. We'll be here at the end of the polos tonight, or if you're seeing this in social media spaces, in the caption. Okay, without further ado, let me also tell you about some of the energies that I've infused the space with here, just ramping up. I have this beautiful new spray. I'm so excited because this is the first lunation for me that I will have this brand new spray from Angelic Celestial Colors Moon Magic Aura Spray for wishes, answers, healing, and guidance. And just check out how beautiful the color energy coming through here. This gorgeous spray smells amazing. If you have smell-o-vision and you get this, some people do tune in and say that they receive different scents and sensations, but just know that this is already energetically sent your way and infusing our altar space for the collective messages for this week. So moon magic. And then because we have a solar eclipse, we're talking moon, I wanted to bring in sunrise, new dawn with this beautiful sunscape bottle, sunrise, new dawn, to once again infuse the space with this beautiful life-giving energy of the sun, bringing in some illumination into this final week here of March. Crazy, crazy, crazy. So let's tune in. I'm going to shuffle up here, I think, and pull our 5 cards first, and then we will finish off with our moon and Queen of the Moon and Sun messages and our final affirmation card from the 5th agreement. So Tarot of the Curious Creatures has been so fun this month, just bringing through a really funky way. The animal energies have been awesome. Just so much symbolism that's come through. I've enjoyed in your personal card pulls and our connections about the ways in which these messages have shown up for you week after week. If you would like a personal card pull here this final week, let me know. Whichever way works for you. You can leave me a quick message here, a quick reply, send me a message through whatever channels we communicate, and I'll be coming in here this week for some personal card pulls from this week's collective messages as well. So let's see. Monday is kicking off the week. We're going to talk about some of the astrological weather here next. Monday is kicking us off into this week that culminates in the eclipse. King of Swords coming in here. So I don't know where you are, but it has been so windy. And of course, the swords is the air element, and the crows have been really active in my area. It is the season that everything is coming. Spring is here, and the trees are budding, and the birds are reappearing, and it's really neat to see and hear. And this is really feeling like the change in the wind, that nature speaks, and we've been experiencing unbelievable just wind, so many areas, at least in the United States, as I'm aware of it. Everybody's talking about the wind, and just how all encompassing it is. And so this King of Swords is really feeling like, and like I said, you can see those crows. And of course, this King Crow here, really marking that spot on the throne. So we're going to see how that is setting the tone for this week. And of course, the King of Swords, truth, communication, clarity, cutting through, and all of the things. So that's starting things off. Tuesday is a potential blocker challenge this week. So let's see what might be coming in here via a potential blocker challenge. Card here for Tuesday. Cards are extra flippy tonight. One card for Tuesday. The Fool. Wow. Okay. So this is cool. And I can report some of you have seen, because it's come in personal card polls. This deck has a special Easter egg of a Fool 2.0 card. So there's an additional Fool in this deck, other than this being the original Fool, card 0 of the major arcana. So new beginnings, trust falls, adventure, curiosity, clean slate energy, going for it, taking leaps of faith. Potential blocker challenge. Again, we talk about the energy levels. We talk about the ability to detach and release and surrender and accept, so that we can take that trust fall, and how that can be so darn challenging. It can be difficult, to say the least. And so the Fool shows up for Tuesday's energy. Wednesday then comes in with a midweek blessing. So let's see what's going to come in here with King of Swords and the Fool. Wednesday's midweek blessing. Of course, the moon. What would be a week with a solar eclipse in Aries without the moon coming in as the blessing of this energy of illumination, and also illusion and things in the shadows, and what's, really feeling this energy of a lot of emotions as well. There's definitely a sense of the feels and how we are moving through those things, or what, how it's showing up for us. So we'll see what the moon wants to bring in here as a midweek blessing. And then Thursday is how we are growing. How are we growing? And, first and last week of a month, I like to say it really does either set the tone or kind of give us this reflective, we're not just talking collectively this week, but collectively the whole of March, in how are we growing? How are we growing through all of this? All of the things that, just keep rolling on, and time rolls on, and the astrological weather brews, comes in here, and we experience it in waves, and, we talk about it, we tap in at the beginning of the month, we kind of have an idea of what's coming in, and then it plays out in real life, and it can show up in so many different ways, all perhaps stretching us and pulling at us in ways that ultimately, how have we grown? All things considered at the end of the day, what's coming in here this week and the whole of March, Thursday's energy. We've got 2 major arcana cards here so far and a court card. So these are, notable energies. Thursday, what's coming in? Let's see. Oh, which one? Just one here for Thursday. 9 of Cups, wishes fulfilled, wishes coming true. Beautiful, all those cups being so full. I see a little genie lamp. Yeah, there's a sense of wishes coming true. And, we're going to check in with which animal conversation is coming forward there. But I would say also could be in unexpected ways, in ways that look and show up very differently than maybe we expect them to, or that we've been looking out for them to show up. So I'm feeling something there in terms of, feeling, checking in with all of that abundance and all of those full cups and wishes being fulfilled. And then Friday wraps up the week for our collective tarot energies. A final Tarot of the Curious Creatures card for our collective. And then again, if you would like a personal card pull, I'll be pulling from this deck for you. If you want a card for this week, let me know. Friday's energy to wrap up the week. Of course, the devil. The devil shows up for one last. Yeah, I was just feeling this today about the golden cages and bird cages, and that's interesting. So I'll feel into that when we talk about this. But yeah, we've got 3 out of 5 cards, major arcana. We're going to talk about this more in April. I like to do a little something around April Fools, and everybody plays the fool. So we're going to be talking a little bit about some of those very well-known or maybe lesser-known major arcana cards about the Fool's journey and the sense of major arcana, those 21 cards of the Fool's journey, denoting significant stops along the way. So that, when we're tuning into the cards and sort of seeing how they all work together as well, the major arcana cards just kind of do that little ping to say, hey, pay attention. This is significant on your journey. And the fool comes in and takes us through each of those archetypes. And so this week we've received the Moon and the Devil as some of those featured major arcana cards. So we'll talk about that energy coming in here at the end of the week for sure. Okay, and then let's just see what we want to do here with our oracle cards. We're going to tune in to both the Queen of the Moon and the Queen of the Sun for the solar eclipse, new moon in Aries, end of this week, happening on the 29th. And these are the cards that we'll be deep diving into in the new moon empowerment reading that you can join me for. But we're going to just dip in a little bit here and kind of get a little overarching energy of this solar eclipse from both of these decks and these cards coming together. Sun and Moon energy, the masculine and the feminine, the yin and the yang. Ooh, all the cards are jumpy, so maybe that means it's me. What's going on with the cards? It could be me. All right. One card here from the Queen of the Moon. Slow down, get grounded, right? Take one thing at a time. And there's no rush. Even as the time shifts and we feel ourselves maybe on this accelerated path and pace, that it's difficult to find that sense of equilibrium sometimes. One card. Aha! Extremes. This is interesting because this is for the hot moon. This is card 34. And I was just thinking the devil energy. So that feels, and also I'm feeling a little matchy happening here too. So while I was going to put the sun card down this end, I'm actually going to put this moon card here, extremes, with the devil and the sunrise new dawn energy. And now we're going to tap into the Queen of the Sun to see what's coming up there to balance out the messages coming in this week for this significant astrological event that's happening. We'll talk in a moment about the weather this week, but in comparison to how strong the blood moon eclipse was, this one is not as strong, but it actually does carry with it some really powerful energies that we can tap into, of course, because all eclipses are powerful portals for transformation and tend to move us and shift us onto new timelines and pathways where, again, the Fool showing up as a challenge, not lost on me, that taking that leap of faith and finding ourselves on new paths and trajectories can certainly be challenging in the best way too. So let's see, one last card here for the messages, and then we're going to pull that little affirmation card from the Fifth Agreement. Okay, Queen of the Sun Oracle. Card to go with extremes. Ooh, Yule, hope. I see a crow. I see, wow, this is a beautiful card. So this is card 35, Yule, hope. So we will explore these two cards a little bit, just tap into them a bit, and then of course we'll be deep diving in that new moon empowerment reading. Beautiful. Okay, let's take our last card here from the Fifth Agreement. A little affirmation to punctuate everything this week. One card, please. These are double-sided, so I'm just shuffling up and I'll pull from the back, see what wants to come forward for some just words of wisdom, thoughts for contemplation, energies that might set the tone here for some of these messages that we'll be tapping into in just a few moments. One card here. Today is the day of my last judgment. Today is the very last day that I judge either myself or anybody else. It's the day that I accept myself just the way I am, and I accept everybody else just the way they are. The reward is my eternal happiness. Yeah, so this is interesting because this has definitely been something that's been coming up around judgment and criticism. And, you know, this all started, we were talking about it with the blood moon eclipse in Virgo because it was really highlighting some of those aspects of us and other that can be quite punitive, quite, holding us to an impossible standard with these expectations of perfection. And that these harsh judgments that we can hold, they can be a bit sneaky where we don't necessarily realize how we're judging ourselves. And like I said, personally moving through, varying energy levels and finding, maybe little irritants and frustrations with different things and different dynamics. And then, kind of wanting to get things back to a state of equilibrium, kind of finding myself unwittingly judging the thing that's irritating me, the fact that it's irritating, or, whether it ought to irritate me, or if I should be more grateful, or if if it's really something that's, troublesome enough as compared to others. And that's right where we kind of take things in that spiral direction that we lose the value of the irritant, the trigger, the thing that's coming up, the red flag, the ping, whatever it is. It's serving because even if it does seem like a rather silly thing or something that doesn't seem worthy of a ton of concern or, reaction, it's about the frequency, that if it's evoking a sense of something that is asking to be looked at in order to be moved, in order to be released or integrated, shed in some way, or, allowed to be transmuted into something new and higher vibrational, we miss that when we stop to judge it and say, well, I should at least be grateful for X, Y, Z. So what am I belly aching about? And yeah, sometimes, we apply that tough love on ourselves or others, a little wake up call, a little maybe, level setting in the grand scheme of things, how much of my attention do I want to invest in this thing? But today I might decide that I'm going to have, if you've ever heard of a yes day, sometimes they say with kids, this is something to do. I don't know that we've ever done that here at this house, but it's something where no matter what they ask for, it's a yes, a yes day. But what if you gave yourself a yes day to allow yourself to feel whatever you feel, to be in whatever mood you're in, or however, whatever concern is bubbling up? Yes, versus the judgment and the criticism that can be applied in a way that shuts something down and stifles it out before it even has a chance to get off and moving in terms of how it's serving. What is this gifting me with? This irritant, this frustration, this situation, whatever it is. So I'm just feeling a little tangent there about declaring a day, the last day, that I judge either myself or everybody else, because I'm accepting myself just the way I am, and I accept everybody else just the way they are, because I can't control it anyway. So I may as well accept that it's raining. I may as well accept that it's fill in the blank, and then decide how I'm going to be in that energy. So yeah, we'll see how that comes around again as we go. But a nice little reminder for sure. And I like that calendar. It's circled on the 1st, which actually April 1st is in fact, I believe, a Tuesday. So it almost feels like a little precursor to some of the energies and themes that'll be coming in for April in terms of perhaps, freeing ourselves from that judgment, that criticism, and that tendency to be holden to that, which I think, again, we're ending the week, we're ending the month with messages in that arena. So we'll see. We'll see where we go from here. Okay, thank you so much for being here. Again, if you would like a personal card pull this week, let me know. If you want to join for the new moon empowerment reading this week, or if you would like the equinox spread, and if you want to save 20% on that and join me for April as well, all of the above are available now. So if you want to chat about ways in which we can work together more comprehensively, I would love to do that with you. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of the astrological weather coming in this week. All right, here we go with some astrological weather, and I have several. I'm taking us through the end of the month. So I realized that was probably the longest card pull I've ever done, because I must have been really chatting, plus we were pulling some extra cards. So reminder that you're always welcome to dip in, dip out when you can, where you can. I know some of you like to watch these, all in one sitting or as you're able at the top of the week. Some like to just pop in each day and listen to the daily messages. I also put these all on my YouTube in one long video, whatever works for you. So feel free to dip into whatever you feel called. So starting here with this energetic weather that is about, we're going to look back at yesterday's energy. Again, I'm recording this on Sunday, so I'm talking about March 22nd. The Sun conjunct Venus retrograde in Aries. I talked about this last week. It's called the Venus star point. And it is known to be a power day here in the Venus retrograde cycle. So this was yesterday, where there were some beautiful opportunities to bring in some clarity and wisdom in, whatever lessons this retrograde's been bringing up for us. Again, around relationships in our lives, having sudden realizations, etc. But I bring this up just to kind of reflect on, what you may have been experiencing this weekend. But we're still in those energies with Venus here being the planet of the heart. As she has just aligned with the sun, we can really feel our hearts opening and softening and expanding if we tune in. So pay attention over these coming days for all the little and big ways that your heart expands. Pay attention and find the gratitude for all the ways that love shows up for you. And I think this is going to be connected with that 9 of Cups, where I said an abundance of blessings and wishes coming true in ways that we may not even realize. Yeah, maybe I'll talk about that when we get there, but just thinking of some personal examples myself. So, this can certainly be highlighting relationships here in Venus retrograde, and especially with this Venus star point energy, relationships being highlighted. So if you're feeling that, try your best to move through from the wisdom of your heart, because Venus here now will be preparing to emerge from her retrograde in a few weeks, and more will be revealed. But at this point, if those areas are feeling activated, a little bit of a energetic explanation for where that may be coming from for you. So now we move into Monday's energy, kicking us off with March 24th. The Sun conjunct Mercury retrograde in Aries, which is also known as a Mercury cazimi. This is a power day now in Mercury's retrograde cycle. So it's Mercury's turn, and it can bring some clarity and wisdom then when it comes to whatever messages and information Mercury has been trying to bring to our attention. So this is where, again, Monday the 24th, we may experience a helpful conversation or receive some intel that helps support us in some way. So pay attention to information, communication, messages coming your way there on Monday. We'll talk about that with our King of Swords. So now, March 26th, Venus retrograde conjunct Neptune in Pisces. Now, this one speaks to some painful realizations when it comes to love and matters of the heart that can crop up for us on this day. And it speaks to the notion that the wool may have been pulled over our eyes in the past, but now we're able to see the whole truth. Interesting, when that's that is Wednesday. So the 26th, we had the Moon card coming in as our midweek blessing, which is about illusion, shadow, things that were hidden from us being illuminated. Okay, so we're tapping into that energy with the March 26th Venus retrograde conjunct Neptune in Pisces. So, when those realizations come to light, it can be confronting, but ultimately it allows us to move forward with grace. Now I know, right? So don't be tempted to bury your head in the sand or allow things to continue in the same direction, because as the saying goes, when we know better, we do better. And this is the only way to break that cycle. So an opportunity there for us coming in midweek. Now, March 27th, Thursday, Venus retrograde in Pisces. So now, you might say, I thought Venus was already retrograde. Yes, she has been retrograde in Aries, but because she's moving backward, she now dips back into Pisces. So retrograde Venus moving into the sign of Pisces. And this is a shift that may bring some relief, because as I've been saying, she does not particularly like to be in Aries energy as she has been. So this shift should bring some relief. Venus retrograde in Pisces is a softer energy, and it will shift a majority of our work inward. So we've been dealing with relationship challenges and maybe like some friction and issues outside of us with other. But now, despite those challenging relationships that may have come up for us, we're now given a chance to catch our breath and work on harnessing self-love and self-care. Venus retrograde helps to recalibrate our hearts and the giving and receiving of love in our lives. And at this stage of its journey now, we're being called to prioritize self-love and self-care. So beautiful that shows up on Thursday. How are we growing with that 9 of Cups again? So we'll dip into that here when we get into our messages. Now we're going to get past the Monday through Friday week when we talk about the remaining aspects. Saturday, March 29th, a solar eclipse in Aries. So a new moon in Aries, solar eclipse coming at us next weekend. So continuing deeper here into eclipse season, we have a partial solar eclipse in the sign of Aries. So this is the last eclipse in a cycle that we've been working with since July 2023. So time machine, looking back to that cycle. So while solar eclipses generally bring new openings and pathways, there is a sense of closure that also comes along with this particular eclipse as it's closing out that cycle from July of 2023. So whatever lessons or journey that the last eclipse cycle has wanted to reveal to us has now been exposed, and we're able to see fully where we stand. So once again, no coincidence that the King of Swords kicked off our card pulls for this week. The King of truth-telling and cutting through the BS and clarity and understanding and all of that air energy coming in to the crown truths and awarenesses and ahas, along with the moon illuminating things, we have this energy of things coming to be known, right? And so this also comes in with some of the other weather that I was just talking about, with some of the realizations and things that can come in through these different aspects. So, when we're coming into this aspect of getting clear on whatever lessons or journey that last eclipse cycle wanted to reveal to us, now being exposed, seeing fully where we stand, the energies have come full circle, and we can now move confidently ahead into a new chapter of our soul's evolution. This eclipse is definitely not as strong as the blood moon lunar eclipse, as I mentioned earlier in the month, but it should bring some welcomed and fresher energy into the collective. Yes, please, more of that. So, yeah, it's not to say that it's all just, a walk in the park, because we're doing the work, right? And we're moving through all these energies. And I just think it's even more apropos then that the Fool showed up as the potential block or challenge this week, because ending cycles, leaping into new cycles, and all of it can bring some of that, block or challenge energy, depending on how open we are to allow. So again, if you want to go deeper into this solar eclipse and how you can work with it, with a ritual, with some more of the other aspects that are supporting it, with all of that, check out the new moon empowerment reading for that one. Now, also at the same time as the solar eclipse in Aries, March 29th, we also have Mercury retrograde in Pisces. Wait a minute, I thought you said Mercury was already retrograde. Yes, and like Venus, it had been in the sign, is in the sign now as I'm recording this, in Aries, but retrograde, moving back, will go back into Pisces. So Mercury, along with Venus now, goes back into Pisces, where it will remain for the rest of the retrograde. Now, Mercury retrograde in Pisces may have us feeling mentally cluttered or even scattered. This is, again, Saturday the 29th. We may find it hard to clear our minds and to let go of unnecessary mental chatter. Mercury retrograde, especially in Pisces, is not a time to believe everything we think or hear. Instead, it's an opportunity to get in touch with how we're truly feeling and to pay attention to the signs and clues that the universe is sending our way. Now, Mercury is the messenger of the gods, and in the underworld, it is helping us to recognize and uncover hidden or lost messages that we may have forgotten or overlooked. So spending time in reflection, reviewing events of the past, and learning from those who have been there are all good ways to channel this energy. Yeah, it's continuing on this time of discernment, and, using your analytical mind, yes, using your internal truth detector for sure to, again, it's so fascinating to me that, the cards always bring in aspects that we can tap into. Now we add in some of this astrological weather, and we see this push-pull between clarity and illumination and truths coming to the surface, and now having full, complete understanding to, this is what I was saying last week, 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, ultimately 2.5 steps back forward. So we get a half a step closer, it's like somewhere in there. We're lost in the sauce, but it is happening. We are moving forward at whatever pace is needed. And again, frustration levels may vary with how we feel in alignment or attunement with that. So this is where we can work through this energy using our tools. So some pointers there about the duration of Mercury retrograde in Pisces, to use that discernment, to question, to check in with reflecting and reviewing those events of the past and learn from those who have been there, right? All those things coming up for your consideration. Finally, I just want to get all the way through, all the aspects I have for March, since this is going to actually take us into Sunday of next week. So a week from tonight, as I'm recording this, March 30th, this is the biggie. We're going to definitely be talking about this and, of course, experiencing it into April. So April Empowerment Pack is where it's at to really get into this, but this is very significant. March 30th begins Neptune in Aries. Okay, this is big. It brings a major shift in our collective consciousness. Neptune moving into Aries is going to be setting us up for a new cycle that will slowly begin kicking into gear as of this day, Sunday, March 30th. Now, while Neptune is going to dance back and forth between Aries and Pisces for a while, we're starting to get a taste of a new energy dynamic. Neptune has been in Pisces since 2011, so we will start to notice a closing to this chapter. Neptune is the planet of hopes, dreams, and wishes, so we may notice goals that were set in 2011 slowly dissipating or even evolving. I remember when I was sharing this aspect in the year ahead reading, which many of you received, I was kind of having a live realization as I was sharing it that that's the year that that's when tarot came into my life. That's when I really started to be on a conscious spiritual path, and so much opened up for me. It's so interesting for me to think about the ways in which this could be kind of coming full circle for me personally, and just planting that seed for you, thinking about 2011 and now coming into the now in 2025. So that's how you can see how significant these planets that, move much slower, have these longer periods, that it's very significant when things come around and they move they close out energy and usher in new energy. So Neptune being that planet of hopes, dreams, and wishes, we may notice that, those goals from 2011 coming round here one way or another. So as Neptune moves into Aries, that energy becomes a lot more headstrong and a lot more focused around who we are as individuals. And we will feel an expanding need to be true to ourselves and to express more of our true nature. Now, while this is a big shift, it will take time for all the energies to reveal themselves, because Neptune will remain in Aries until October 2025, when it will retrograde back into Pisces until 2026. So as I say, definitely much more we'll be exploring with that throughout April, but wanted to kind of put this here as a placeholder as we finish out the month of March. Okay, let's take a look now at our cards for this week and the intuitive messages that are coming through. All right, so even though the solar eclipse in Aries is not until a week from now, it's at the end of the week on the 29th, I want to start with our Queen of the Moon and Queen of the Sun oracle cards, because this week is going to be building up to eclipse. So I want to first check in with these energies. And like I said, we're just going to highlight them here, deep diving into them in the New Moon Empowerment reading. So from the Queen of the Moon, we received Hot Moon Extremes. So this card has a mantra that says, I handle extremes with grace, yet I seek balance in all things. And so we can see the heat really turned up here. We're seeing the sweat on the back, the sweat on the glass. We're seeing that heat outside with that hot moon. And so it's speaking to learning how to handle crises with calm and resilience, and seeking balance being superior to seeking extremes. This is such a powerful message for the collective right now, where we are seeing outside of us in the macrocosm extremes on parade, on the daily, right? These extremes, and this notion of seeking balance being superior to seeking extremes, that there are better ways to handle conflict than rage and outrage. So this is like hot tempers, things flaring, the decibel being turned up on things. So this could be about disruptors and agitators, and finding this way to come into balance and equilibrium with grace as we are navigating those extremes. So that's being highlighted here with Aries for sure as the new moon approaches. And, we tune into what those energies may mean for us. So like I said, we'll dive more deeply into that. I want to bring in the Queen of the Sun, which is a card I'm not familiar with now, just to see, so we can kind of see the messages coming in for both and how they may be speaking together. So let's take a look now at that card. All right, our Queen of the Sun energy brings us Yule and the card of hope. And it was really interesting just looking at this now and noting that between his crown of the antlers with the crow in the center of it, it's seated right next to, on our altar, the King of Swords, which is a literal crow sitting on a throne. So we've got really a double dip this week in this energy of the crow being noted as a totem and a symbol. And as I mentioned, they've been very prominent here outside of my home today. And I was watching them for a while and I had the window open. And so it's just kind of giving me some little breadcrumbs to tap into intuitively. And now as we look at it coming forward in this beautiful card, it's referring to Yule, of course, which is, the longest night, and that sense of that season that occurs in December. But it says, after the longest night, there is always a dawn. Isn't that interesting that I brought in the sunrise, new dawn energy to represent the sun in the solar eclipse, and now the Queen of the Sun brings forward those exact words in this card, because we talk about the longest night and these periods of darkness, or all of the messages that we've already started tapping into here in terms of things that we can't see, that are hidden from view, that are in shadow, darkness, right? This is a cycle here of darkness and light for everyone that's being highlighted. Hope is worth acknowledging and celebrating. All is not lost. Now, looking back at the hot moon, it says, this too shall pass. Yule is saying, all is not lost, to hold on to hope. And the mantra is, I know light will always return. And that's really the spoiler alert of it all, to know that the light wins, that the wishes will be fulfilled, that the cups will overflow. And so, being that we get that ending first, we're in the fray, we're in the in-between. And that's really, one of my favorite symbols of the crow is it represents change, that there's change in the wind, that it harkens that, this is always very connected for me with that number 5, the number of transition and change and instability and chaos before order, in the confusion that can ensue when we're in between, no longer where we once were, not yet where we want to be. And so standing in between that, we see this very powerful energy of this hope coming in here through the character that we see on this card with the crow energy. So, this is really speaking to the turning of the wheel and the seasons and the festival of Yule, of course, with just this message of fresh starts coming on the other side and the symbolism of this. So this is something that we will be, of course, going deeper in with the hot moons card of extremes and hope. Extremes and hope, and finding that place in the center between the extremes as that place of hope. And also grace was another key word that was used with the extreme card. So more to come on those with the new moon empowerment reading. If you're joining me there, we're going to get into it. Let's start now with our 5 tarot cards for this last full week of March. All right, we are kicking off our week's message here, the final week of March, with the King of Swords. Another crow king coming in here, as we were just talking about the Yule energy of hope and the crows that we saw depicted there with the crown. And now we see the crow being represented as the King of Swords here. Swords, the air element. This aspect of our thoughts, beliefs, ideas, it brings us into the mind, into the crown. And it is a court card. So court cards in the tarot are the personality of the tarot, the people. So it can represent you or someone in your orbit. It can be someone or an aspect of being that may be coming in around you, or that you may be encouraged to embody. Let's feel into it. Like I said, with all of the different aspects that we've been tuning into around truths coming to light and clarity versus things being mucky and unclear, this is the totem for that, the King of Swords. Now, traditionally representing an intellectual leader, an excellent communicator, being calm, cool, and collected, expert status, confident. And yeah, because the king is the final card in the suit. And so it's the embodiment, the realization of the highest expression of the swords in this case. And so, a thought leader. Yes, an expert status here, because he has it all on lock. Does he look bothered? Are his feathers ruffled? No. He looks calm and cool. He kind of looks like he's reminding me of like coming in to have a meeting with the Godfather. He's got the watch. You can see that. I love it. I'm here for it. Check out those crow hands. But like, he is not bothered with that pocket square at all. Like his positioning, the way he's sitting, he's very confident, he's cool, he's intelligent, and he cuts through, right? And he's sitting on a red throne, red giving me that root chakra base is strong, is secure, feeling safe. No matter what's going on. You see the mountains in the background? Yeah, there is highs and lows and struggles and peaks and valleys and challenges for sure, but he's not affected by it. So, again, this could speak to a suggested way of being. How will you be in the midst of uncertainty, in the midst of truths being blurred or crossed or things being unclear in communications? How will you be? How are you showing up? We've got the King of Swords coming in with this energy. So it says, drawing on his experience, on fact, and on the information he has been given, the king is a level-headed monarch whose quick thinking and excellent judgment lead him to his goals with a speed and ease that is unparalleled. Diplomatic and articulate, he has a way of citing truth and spotting anyone who is trying to manipulate him or cloud his judgment. He wants you to gain clarity through presence, observation, and a willingness to see new sides to the same story. So there it is right there. Yes, as a matter of fact, one of the messages we're gleaning from this card is how to be. Who will you be? How do you be in this energy? He is showing you an opportunity for you to gain clarity through presence, observation, and a willingness to see new sides to the same story. Seek transparency and accuracy when you step into a logical framework from which to see your situation. What do the rules say? Using your resources and your intelligence to help others at this time will help you down the road, as will remembering that true intelligence relies on a mind in tune with emotion. In this way, you will broaden your perspective and get a bird's eye view of where you need to go. Clarity and truth will reside in both the details and in the bigger picture. So here it comes. Here's a truth bomb that's different from how I saw things. I've been going on and on about the crow. This is an eagle. It says the Eagle King wants you to know that no matter what happens, you will rise up to meet any challenges put on your path. You are incredibly capable, so trust in your abilities to do this. And as I say that, I knew that because I remember seeing this before and thinking, oh, I see a crow. I see crows out here. And I often and brilliantly, because Chris-Anne, the creator of this deck, the Tower of Curious Creatures, also created my soul deck, the Light Seers, where she does brilliantly use crows as the symbol of the swords suit. So my mind went right there and I see a crow. And that's okay. She has created it as an eagle. Both very powerful totems, messengers that are bringing in truth and freedom. And so Let this be a teacher when we're talking about extremes, when we're talking about being very, very deep in our beliefs and our perspectives and what we know, what's familiar, what's comfortable versus what someone else is seeing and perceiving. Somebody else sees an eagle, I see a crow, I can see the beauty in it being an eagle. And I allow myself to look at it from those different perspectives. It's the same as it was saying here, allowing your perspective to get a bird's eye view so you can see it from different angles. Now, the eagle conversation here says, status, law, and correct action are important in my role as a leader. How do you balance these in your life along with compassion and flexibility? How are you claiming authority and power over your own path? In what ways do you assert your intelligence? And how do you calmly and gracefully lead others toward a better world? So yeah, no question, this is a very powerful start of the week to set the tone that in the midst of anything that is unclear, anything that is taking us on a bit of that emotional ride over those mountain peaks, we have this best practice being offered to us to really connect in through the lens of the powerful eagle, crow, king energy of embodying a way of being no matter what's happening out there in the court. Let's leave it there. So let's take a look now at this Fool energy coming in then as the potential block or challenge and see where that's taking us. All right, Tuesday's potential block or challenge came in as Major Arcana card 0, the Fool, taking that leap of faith, taking that trust fall into the new that we see coming up here as a potential block or challenge. So we're going to tune into the Curious Creature's take on this. And as I mentioned, there's actually 2 Fools in this deck. And so whether we're talking the traditional Fool or 2.0, I was going to take a look and see if I feel it's relevant. Maybe we'll pull that in just to take a look at it. But this Fool comes in here saying, adventure and change, the start of a new journey, learning new skills, upgrades, potential, and possibility, taking a leap of faith, innocence, trusting the universe and the path ahead of you, optimism, innocence, a gateway. Now, this is a potential block or challenge. So that was the head's message. The tail's message says, foolishness, a time to pause, P-A-W-S, and reflect, making sure you have what you need, lack of direction, being naive, recklessness, lack of experience. So we'll play with that as we move through the week in the ways in which the Fool can take us in either direction. It says, whoa there, little adventurer. Take a quick pause to check yourself before you fly off the cliff with nothing but a yoga mat and a sunny disposition. Where are you headed? And did you get that map you needed? The Fool marks the beginning of a wonderful journey. And as all epic journeys will tell you, happy tales always begin with a quest or an intention, a reason, with a heartfelt understanding of why you're putting your energy into this leap of faith. You're about to bound into the beautiful unknown and be given a chance to make a quantum leap into an upgraded reality that will blow your mind. So set your intentions for your best life and clearly set your sights on how you want to feel as you arrive. This courageous step will welcome in a wonderful new reality. So trust the cosmos to catch you when you unleash and take the leap. But also, bring some landing gear, will ya? I love it. So, this is saying that it's a pup conversation. So this is sort of the immature beginner, novice energy of the pup coming in here saying, this is a trust fall you need to take for yourself. If you are a people pleaser or easily swayed by the will of others, how can you make sure you're following this new direction for you? Are you following this new direction for you? Are you cultivating childlike wonder while contemplating where you are headed? What new energetic upgrades and skills can you welcome along the way? And what drives your instinct toward this new adventure? So yeah, I'm just going to search through here for 2.0 as we chat. Oh, don't have to search far. And typically when that happens, I know that's a big old confirmation from the universe that, yeah, pull that one out because there's a little something to be said. So we start with the pup. And now we have the dog, and we see the beautiful symbol of the red feather following it throughout the journey. But this one, the 2.0, comes on the other end of the world, the card that came up last week for the equinox, which was about coming full circle and you in the center of your universe, endings and new beginnings, wholeness, completion. So it's brilliant that, and I see her, this is almost like much more in control. If this is the same ledge that she's stepping to now, perhaps a little wiser, perhaps a little more stable, or feeling like more purposeful or clear in the direction, which, coming from 0 to infinity, there's this energy of all of the different stages and places along the way that make up the fool's journey, and that they all have a role to play. They all are significant in their own way. And so as I just quickly glance at 2.0, it's a little bit of deja vu, right? Preparing for adventure and change, the start of a new yet familiar journey, learning more skills, more potential, more possibility, taking another leap of faith, trusting the universe, cycling into a new level of awareness, upgrades and ascension, new energies, growth, expansion, repeating cycles. So again, retrograde, eclipse energies all happening here. So we have this push, this pull, this coming around again, sense of going back, moving forward, culminating cycles, leaping into new ones. It's just really capturing that energy and the fact that it can be very challenging, that we can feel blocked from taking that leap, lack of confidence, or in the way that these two are coming in here now, it's like we may remember the last leap of faith we took and how it turned out. And maybe it didn't turn out the way that we hoped with those wishes coming true. And yet, is there a way for us to step into our King of Swords with that discernment to be able to see, well, what did it serve then? What was the purpose if I fell flat on my face when I took that leap of faith? If it didn't turn out with the happy ending and the, living happily ever after just the way I expected, what did I learn? How did I grow? In what way did I expand into this new opportunity? So that's really setting that tone for us as we explore the remaining cards, and then certainly as we move through it in real life this week and beyond, as we're seeing, what eclipse is bringing in for us here. So again, another thing to mention here is gearing up to a new moon. It is the time to set intentions and make some wishes and plant some seeds and take some leaps. So just keeping that in mind as well, all while, eclipse is taking the front stage. This is a new moon. This is a new season. We have an opportunity to set some intentions and plant some seeds. So be mindful of that too. All right, let's take a look at Wednesday's energy and see what's coming up as a midweek blessing. All right, Wednesday, our midweek blessing, appropriately coming in a solar eclipse week with the moon, coming in with the new moon in Aries happening here at the end of the week, midweek. The moon is being featured this week, along with the sun, of course, which we've been talking about, the coming together of the two, illuminating and also restoring perhaps some balance in a way. But the midweek blessing of it, I think, is something that we're going to find sort of beams out or ripples out in a way that may not immediately be apparent, the blessing. We've been challenged the last couple of weeks with some cards that have, certain connotations that may be more challenging to find the blessings. And I mentioned in the astrological weather that on Wednesday, the 26th, is when we have Venus retrograde conjunct Neptune in Pisces. And so that's where we were talking about some potentially painful realizations when it comes to love and matters of the heart, things that could be cropping up, wool being pulled over our eyes that's now creating some new realizations. Now, the moon does speak to illusions or not being able to see your path clearly. An opportunity to face your fears, which is often fed by the shadow, by the dark, by the unknown. The unconscious mind, trusting your intuition. And that's another thing. In this eclipse portal, the thinning of the veil, the peaking of our intuition and ability to really be connecting in a way that might be a little jolting at times, these rude awakenings even sometimes. And yet, ultimately, we want to clear out of our path anything that's standing between us and our most authentic expression. And so, if there's ever a good time for those kind of things to come into our awareness, in this moment here and now, as we're doing the work and clearing things out, it's creating space and, illuminating pockets where we can then bring in the new through the intentions that we're setting with this lunation and through the seeds that we're planting in this season. The Tarot of Curious Creatures says the moon reflects our deepest vulnerabilities and projects our fears into the corners of the night. Sometimes our unconscious minds create monsters out of dancing shadows where there is only the gentleness of trust to be found. Notice the sway of any emerging or underlying insecurities that are thwarting your awareness. And remember that there is nothing as limiting as the fear itself. Allow the moon to show you how to walk in the night, trusting your instincts to guide you. Trust. This word is being repeated multiple times here, which is, of course, on the other side of the challenge being that trust fall, that leap of faith from the Fool. You will find the way. Let your eyes adjust to the hidden lessons and the long forgottens as moonlight illuminates any illusions or limiting beliefs that need to be seen. What needs bright clarity? Tap into your profound wisdom and howl, unleashing the full power of your inner explorer. For when the moon shows up in your spread, it's time to pay attention to the powerful magic of the intuitive and the sublime. There is no need to fear futures that haven't happened. And sometimes, in order to dance in the moonlight, you must walk into the forest at night, even if the way is unclear. Yeah, and that's powerful. In a new moon, there's an absence of light. Solar eclipse, we're playing with this light and this coming together of these two celestial bodies and what we can tap into there. And like I said, we're going to be diving more deeply into that in the new moon empowerment reading. But just knowing that that's what's on tap for us this week, the moon showing up in the middle of the week as a blessing. And I like that she's wearing head to toe white because there is this clean slate energy about this new moon being in Aries, finishing out this cycle that takes us back to July of 2023, that it feels like a canvas is being cleared, right? That there's this new fresh start, this purity that's coming in with this head to toe white dress on the other side of the full Aries season, new beginnings, new cycles. So again, expressing the emotions and having a good howl can help to, we're moving that energy and it must move. It can't stay hiding in the shadows in the corners forever. So when is a better time if we're, ever endeavoring, like, when is my moment? When is it going to be time to start, receiving all these blessings and experiencing this 2.0 version? Well, everything that comes to pass, even the stickier stuff and the things that can feel a little heavy or, moving through those moments of realizations and ahas and illuminations and things, the shadows not being what they seem, all of that stuff, best to get it all out, right? We're drawing it out so that we can move forward. So there is a blessing in that. And we do have the opportunity to as we were being guided in the beginning, looking at it from different perspectives, how is this showing up to help me? What are some different perspectives I can take on this to see these different aspects of this same thing in order to find that way in, that corner that perhaps, has been holding some dense energy that's been sort of, gumming up the works that now I can clear out. So, again, 3 major arcana cards and out of 5 cards for the week, there's some significant energies. This is meaningful and impactful and a momentous point in our journey. So, more to come there. And like I say, if you're wanting some more specific guidance and you'd like a personal card pull, feel free to let me know, and also consider connecting for the new moon empowerment reading as well as the equinox reading, because that's where we're really going to get into, what's coming up from the past, what is getting ready to bloom into the now in the new season, and how are you best served to tend to it. So let's take a look now at Thursday's card coming in with how we are growing. So now Thursday is the position for how we are growing this week. And as I mentioned in the card pulls, being the last full week of the month, it's sort of a cumulative energy as well of through this month of March, through this first quarter of 2025, how are we growing? And we've got the card of wishes, of those cups that are all filled. There's an abundance of blessings. And we even have the wishing lamp here. And this is a meerkat. So we're going to feel into that energy as it's coming in through the 9 of cups. This energy of wishes coming true, gratitude, a gift or blessing, contentment and peace, the fruition of your goals. Remember, we're in a 9-year, a universal 9-year, and the frequency of 9 is almost to completion. Things are coming into fruition. There's a culmination energy, a graduation energy with the number 9. So this coming in towards the end of the week, gearing up for this solar eclipse, which is the new moon kicking off a new cycle. There is this, this space where we may find ourselves sort of, completing something, finishing something out, and then ready to reap those rewards to reinvest into something new. So this card is saying, make a wish, you beautiful thing. Your hard work, determination, and open heart are paying off. All the options now lie before you, and the gift of your choosing is close at hand. Stay open to beautiful bounties, gateways, and serendipitous offerings from Mother Nature. Remember to stay out in the open and be present in order to receive joy and pleasure from the world around you. You are in every way deserving of these blessings. Now is not the time for complacency or for self-righteous fussiness. Instead, focus on cultivating deep satisfaction for the life you have created, because all its joys, lessons, and challenges have brought you right here. If you find you are missing out on play or spontaneous celebration, make sure you're not seeking joy outside yourself, as anything less than your own internal validation is a fickle friend. And it's time to pare away the frivolous things and dance with the spirit of the divine. Profoundly satisfying success is on the way. So this is kind of circling back to, and what I was tapping into with this energy of today is the last day, is the day of my last judgment. So we're culminating the notion of being judgmental and critical of ourself or others or different aspects that are coming up. And, just the messages that are coming through here with the Tower of Curious Creatures reminds me of kind of what I was saying in terms of judging myself for whatever it was that was initiating the funk, the moment of feeling a dip, is, whether or not it's worthy, if it's important enough, or if this is what I like to call a champagne problem. Speaking of the cups, a champagne problem. Like, what do you have to complain about? You have all of these other blessings in your life, and then feeling this degree of guilt or shame for moving through a particular emotion. and having an opportunity to sort of flip that script to say, and so it's a double-edged sword in the notion that, yes, both things are true. I'm feeling some type of way. And, whether or not, I have an opportunity, and this is anyone's but I'm saying, for example, and what I'm saying about, not judging ourselves for how valid our feelings are. Yes, looking around and see if we're missing out on things around us. Are we looking for something outside of ourselves and, feeling like what we have is not enough or in some way falling short, that again, being encouraged to look around from a different perspective, another angle, and that goes both ways, allowing yourself space to move through whatever emotions are bubbling up and seeking out the blessings and the silver lining in things as we process and allow for those emotions to flow. Being that these are 9 cups, there's an abundance of feels. There's a lot of emotion. The cups represent our heart chakra, emotions, the element of water, and so there's still much that's being processed at this time, that at the bottom of every cup, there is a glimmer of something with which to be moving in the direction of fulfilling your dreams and your greatest wishes. Profoundly satisfying success is on the way. So let's see what the meerkat has to say. Meerkat Conversations. Thank you for treading lightly and lovingly on the earth. We see you, we feel you, and we underground dwellers are so grateful. What would you like to receive, sweet spirit? What wish resides in the burrow of your heart? You are worthy of the gifts that stand before you. So again, celebrate what you have. Celebrate your full cups. Celebrate the abundance that comes into your life in a myriad of ways, while also allowing yourself to dream big and wish and utilize those cups that you have now to reinvest in the future wishes, hopes, and dreams that you are fostering. So, again, the frequency of the number 9 comes in with this culmination, graduation energy, this, finishing out something, perseverance, and then fruition coming on the other side to reap that harvest. So loving that energy coming in as how we're growing. I mean, it's such a positive card, this card of wishes coming true. Let's take a look at the final card for the week for Friday's energy. All right, Friday is closing out the week and wrapping up a month of working with this beautiful tarot of curious creatures and, just kind of really reflecting back on everything that's been coming to pass. This is quite the potent card. It is the devil, the energy of Capricorn. And we see here a goat standing in this position of being on either side of them, this notion of being in prisons of our own making. So there's a lot of buzzwords that we've been using here all along that are going to come out in this card. And remembering that, we started the week with the freedom of expression and truth and higher wisdom and thought in knowing with the eagle spirit. And also, of course, I'm going to fold in my crows to that as well, hearkening change and the change in the wind that's coming through at this time. On the other side of that, this is freedom and expression and expansion and mastery of energy. This is the sense of addiction and comfort zone and being in prisons of our own making. So there's definitely a much tighter, and we still see the red showing up for both the red suit jacket here, the blazer versus the red throne. I think it's interesting just the comparison between these two energies coming in and bookending the cards this week. The devil here, as it's coming in, is saying it speaks to vices and temptations, a time to break free from addictions, bondage, possessiveness, materialism, damaging illusions, limitations, shame, learning to forgive yourself, the potential for liberation. So, it's talking about when we're locked in desire, we're consumed by materialism or lust after something that does not feed our soul. We can feel trapped and manipulated by our own emotions or past choices. The lack of true fulfillment can leave us spiraling in the after effects of a flood of dopamine without lasting contentment. If you are feeling any shame around what you want or where you've been, allow this lighthearted goat to walk you to the door of your shadows so that you can see exactly where the light pours in. Because after all, we can't have the shadow without light that casts the shadow, right? Take a reflective, empathetic look at how you arrived at this set of circumstances and how you can untether yourself from them at any time. Your bindings are an illusion, and any challenges you may face are only temporary. There are transformative lessons here, and desire and temptation do have a sweet spot. If you've been decidedly rigid and prudish, it may be time to be swept up in creature comforts and in the pleasure of it all. There is always a choice to liberate yourself from those self-imposed constraints. So yeah, zooming in here just to see the mastery of this deck. The door is open, right? This golden cage, this sense of I'm stuck, I don't know, I can't, this always happens, replaying everything, and yet the door is open. So we decide at any time if we're going to step out of it and take that leap of faith, enter in the Fool. So there's a lot of synchronicity in the cards because this is about comfort zone and muscle memory, and maybe we've always done something a very specific way that we're now being shown that the doorway is actually open to new possibilities, new potentialities. We just have a need to make that choice. And that's really the key of the devil being about the choice, being about the opportunity for us to choose the devil that we know, what's familiar, what's comfortable in many cases, what is very well worn, versus taking that leap of faith into something new. Now, the goat conversations say, I am sure-footed on the steepest terrain and can help you navigate the rocky spots. Have you ever climbed above the circumstances instead of ramming your head into the same stubborn wall? Persistence, determination, faith, and willingness to work for your happiness. These are your allies. What chains are you ready to break from? So I think whatever truths, whatever illuminations are coming up this week through the process of, the astrological weather culminating into the solar eclipse, new moon in Aries, what are we going to do with that information? What are we going to do with those truths and those awarenesses coming in? We get to decide. The choice is yours, right? So we take a look at all of the blessings and the abundance and all of the contents of those 9 cups that make up, what is available to us at our disposal to create with. And we make a conscious choice if we're going to create something new. And I would say, for most of us, that is the case. That there's what we know, what's familiar, what's comfortable and well-worn. And sometimes, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If this is the extent of your hopes and your dreams and you feel like it's really on point, have at it. And yet we're in this new season and this time of bringing in all of this new that most likely we're in this state of wrapping up, culminating these old ways and making new choices to create something completely new and unknown to us, which again can evoke all of that fear energy, which would be present in the devil, in the moon energy. And as we discussed, in the shadow of the Fool as well. So this is the 3rd week in a row that I would be compelled to mention faith over fear. 3 weeks ago, and I shared my blog post and my card about faith over fear, and it says that you have the right to choose and choose again. And that's that whole, coming around again. And if we find ourselves back in the cage, there can be an exasperation and frustration with ourselves for how do I let myself get back here again? How is this happening again? And we have that moment, feel that feeling, be present, let it bubble up. And then allow it to leave and replace it. And this was all part of that acronym of FEAR, F-E-E-R, face, embrace, encase, and replace those fears that are often so much more imaginary than real, because in the shadow, it seems so much bigger and so much more obscure than when we shine the light on it. And so this is why, even if it stings, even if it's unpleasant, even if it reveals truths that we'd rather not have be, I want to take the Band-Aid off here so that I can begin this healing process and plant new seeds in their place. So let's allow it to progress and move forward as it will, even if, the devil is in the details of the things that are coming up to be seen through fresh eyes. So again, I think that'll expand as we move into the week, but we do have some pretty significant cards here. So we'll be playing with those as we go through each day. I'll share the little Audible Mystics clip and whatever's coming through intuitively that I get from my card pulls and my work throughout the week. If you would like a personal card pull again, please feel free to let me know, and really consider if you want to gift yourself some tools and ways to work with these energies to bring in some insight, awareness, and wisdom for you. Consider the new moon empowerment reading, as well as the Equinox spread that is currently available and at a discount when you join me for April for the Empowerment Pack. So lots of ways we can connect this week. I'd love to hear from you, how you're faring, how your March has been. And again, we're going to be stepping into preparing for an all-new space next week with April rolling out. We'll have a new Empowerment Sharecast, so keep your eyes peeled for all those things. And I'm sending you all much love, many blessings as we move through this last final week of March. We'll talk soon.